Translating inequalities. Today's goal, I can represent real-world or mathematical situations using equations and inequalities involving variables and positive rational numbers. We've actually done a portion of this goal before. Today we're just going to focus on the inequality piece though. A little video to start us out to introduce inequalities. Inequality, let's start by defining that. It's the first chunk on your notes. An inequality is a math sentence that uses symbols such as the 5 you see in front of you. You will need to fill in 2 of them. They're missing from your notes. To compare 2 quantities, you'll need to fill in a word as well. Going down to the second chunk in our notes, these 5 symbols, whoopsies, there we go. I would say that we're comfortable with the first one here. We would read that as greater than. So will you go ahead and box that in, which I already put for you, or highlight it? Underneath that one, which is already written for you in your notes, I'd like you to include is more than, is larger than, and then lastly above. All of those phrases or words describe this symbol, which we're more likely to call or name greater than. The next symbol, I've already identified it on your note sheet. We refer to this symbol as greater than or equal to. It's the greater than symbol with half an equal sign. Go ahead and highlight that on your note sheet in the chart. And then underneath it, will you please write another way to represent that symbol is to say minimum, at least, is not less than, and not smaller than. The third inequality symbol in the chart is our less than sign. Will you go ahead and highlight or box in the is less than that I already put in the chart for you? Underneath that, go ahead and write, we can also refer to that symbol as is smaller than and below. The last inequality symbol that we're going to talk about as 6th graders is our less than or equal to symbol. I already wrote that in words for you. Will you highlight it or box it in? And then underneath it in this column, add maximum is another word used to describe that symbol. At most, not more than, and is not greater than. There's one inequality symbol from up here that I didn't include in our chart down here. It's the equal sign with a slash through it. We call that our not equal to symbol. You'll refer to that more next year. This year we're going to focus on these 4 symbols that you see in the chart. Let's begin translating some inequalities. Remember, an inequality is a math sentence that uses symbols, like you see in front of you, to compare 2 quantities. How is it different than an equation? Well, an equation has an equal sign. An inequality, none of these are just equal signs. That's how it differs from an equation. All right, so the first one we're going to practice translating is the first star. It says 4 times the difference between x and 6 is less than 2. Now, last week we were translating verbal equations, and we recognized is to be our equal sign. And so I want to start with that Again, is here, but it's not saying that everything to the left here equals 2. It's saying everything to the left is less than 2. So that means that's going to be my inequality symbol. And I'm going to use the less than sign. So I could put less than underneath there. Draw that in right now. So then we can go ahead and translate. We have 4 times the difference. I see difference. Right away, I want to go to the word and. That's going to be my subtraction sign when I translate. I see difference. I want to bring in my grouping symbols, and then I'll decide if I need them. So when we translate this, we have 4 times the difference between x and 6 is less than 2. Looks like this. We have 4 times the difference between x and 6 is less than 2. Let's try the next one. 19 more than 7 times a number is at most 8. I see is, so my head goes, there's my equal sign. However, it's saying is at most 8. It's not saying is 8. So I know that at most there, or is at most, is going to be my inequality symbol. Now if you go to the front of your sheet, you can look and see what inequality symbol has the word at most under it. That would be our less than or equal to symbol. So go ahead and write that underneath the blue line. I see 19 more than. So I want to box that in and arrow it to my inequality symbol, or the start of my inequality symbol. So now we can translate 7 times a number. We'll start with that. Here's the exact translation. We have 7 times a number. We don't know what the number is, so we have to pick a variable. I picked x. And we have 19 more than that. That is less than or equal to 8. Let's do the next translation. Thrice the sum of 11 and x is greater than or equal to 15. Now, thrice is not an error. That means 3 times. I see the word is, my head says equal sign, but it says is greater than or equal to. So that is my inequality symbol. I'm going to go to the front of my notes, or I'm on the front of my notes, sorry. So I'm going to look at my notes and see, hey, what symbol goes with this? That would be my greater than or equal to symbol. So now starting over again, we have thrice the sum. I see sum. I'm going to go right to the word and. That's going to be my plus sign since sum means add. Sum is there. I need to bring in my parentheses, and then I'll see if I need them at the end. So our translation would be, right over here, 3 times or thrice the sum of 11 and x is greater than or equal to 15. All right, this is the last example. It's on the back side of your notes. We need to translate it. So we have 14 more than 2 times a number is at least 1. Again, my eyes go right to my equal sign word, which is, but then I have is at least. So there's my inequality, at least. What word on the front side of your note sheet, or excuse me, what symbol on the front side of your note sheet goes with the words at least? That would be your greater than or equal to symbol. So underneath the line, put a greater than or equal to symbol. Then let's go ahead and translate. We have 14 more than. I see more than, so I want to box an arrow. 2 times a number, we can take 2 times any letter we want. Since we don't know what the number is, we have to use a variable to represent that. And we have 14 more than that, and that is at least 1. Here's our translation. We have 2 times a number, I picked x. 14 more than that is greater than or equal to, that's what at least tells us, 1. That brings us to the end of our lesson. We're translating inequalities today, so really the only new part is recognizing and starting to use these 4 symbols. You can go ahead and get started on your homework. I do want you to know that there are 4 problems on your homework that we did in our notes. They are numbers 1, 2, 3, and 5 on your homework sheet. And those come directly from our notes, so you can just take your answers from your notes. We'll see you later.